Well, one time I remember vividly on Shaun of the Dead, one of the zombies came up to me and whispered in my ear, goes, "Whew, straight to video for this one."
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim. Man, Edgar Wright is a cult hit movie-making machine, but that doesn't mean everything about his career has gone to plan. After 8 years of planning and writing, Edgar was forced to quit making the Marvel movie Ant-Man. Instead, he built something new. Baby Driver is his brand new film about a prodigy heist getaway driver who can only drive while listening to music. And given that Edgar Wright made his very first feature film before the age of 21, the man knows a thing or two about being a prodigy.
And I basically got my start, I just made amateur movies when I was a kid. And I won a national competition on TV when I was 16.
This week's video maker is no stranger to making videos or to Saturday morning TV. Edgar Wright.
I'd made this one movie, Fistful of Fingers, and through that I started doing TV directing. And the first show that I did was with Matt Lucas and David Walliams, who would later go on to great fame with Little Britain. But I did their first sketch show on TV. Yeah, and then through that and another show that I did with Simon Pegg called Asylum, I started directing at the BBC when I was 22.
What were the reactions like from the crew at BBC like?
Well, I'd say the reason that I have a beard was in my attempt to look a bit older. Because some people would be on board and other people would be like, who the fuck is this kid? And the fact, I seem to think the fact that I wasn't somebody's son, it wasn't a case of nepotism, that used to baffle them even more. I directed a bunch of TV shows, including, and I'm sure Australian viewers will know French and Saunders, right?
You did the Christmas special, didn't you?
Yeah, I did the Titanic Christmas special. So it's funny to have those kind of credits. It seems sort of like a lifetime ago.
If you can go back and talk to yourself before you walk through the doors of, let's take the BBC as an example. If you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice about how to tackle that differently, what would you say to yourself?
Wear more grown-up clothes. I think I was dressed in sort of a way that I would always look like, I just dressed like the sort of geeky kind of runner or something. So I was forever, I think for a solid decade of my career, I was getting mistaken for a PA. Even when I was on Shaun of the Dead.
You're kidding, really?
No, seriously.
Action!
Well, one time I remember vividly on Shaun of the Dead, one of the zombies came up to me. I had no idea I was the director, walked up to me and whispered in my ear, goes, "Whew, straight to video for this one." So, and I was like, yeah, I'm not so ruthless to just go, "You're fired." I mean, it's an amazing experience. At the time, I couldn't quite believe that it was happening. It wasn't something that I took lightly. I was just like, I cannot believe I'm getting paid to direct TV comedy. It's crazy.
What's his deal?
Baby? He has a hum in the drum, plays music to drown it out.
Keeps me moving.
Baby Driver is, it has this sort of musicality to it. It moves like a musical in many ways. Yeah. It has that rhythm to it.
Bell bottoms.
Is it true that you were texting James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, to make sure that you weren't doubling up on the same songs?
Way after I'd finished the movie.
Right.
This was a couple of months ago.
What would you have done if you'd found out you were both using the same song? Because you couldn't change songs.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think it's just for my own curiosity. So I don't know what I would have done, because obviously James's movie was coming out before mine. But then my movie had premiered at South by Southwest before his.
So you get first dibs.
I guess so, but we never had we didn't have that problem. I mean, if it's something where you haven't even started filming yet and you hear oh, so-and-so is using Hocus Pocus by Focus in a major way, that might be give you pause for thought and think, let me see if I can change something.
Shop, let's talk it.
After the release of some of the Cornetto movies, you did quite a lot of touring, you did Comic-Con and things like that, and I didn't fully process this, but people give you gifts at those events. Is it true that somebody gave you a bunch of weed brownies once?
It happened twice, and it happened in Atlanta.
Twice?
The same person. I mean, people sometimes are appalled. They say, I wouldn't eat some sort of edibles that a fan has given you. But me and Nick did. I mean, I've been back to Atlanta several times since I made this movie in Atlanta. I never saw Dr. Space Cakes again. I don't know what happened to him. Dr. Space Cakes, if you're out there, we enjoyed your brownies.
Drinking beer pubs. Shall we?
If you could change anything about the movie industry, anything at all, what would you change?
I wouldn't have had those Atlanta brownies in 2004. It was a really bad idea.
In the time that you've...
I like that you took that as the real answer.
No, let's go. If you, genuinely speaking, if you could change anything about the way the movie business operates, what would you change?
I'd say this would be something that would never happen, but it would be amazing. to say to the studios, you have to make one original movie for every franchise movie. Wouldn't that be something? What if it was a quota thing? It's for every franchise movie that you release into cinemas, you have to release an original movie too.
I'm sure in France they have a rule like that.
They do have a rule like that with French cinemas, that a percentage of French cinemas have to show French language films.
That's right.
Which is clever.
If you agreed to do a franchise film next, what would your personal rules be going into it?
I don't know. I mean, I think the thing is that, you know, having sort of been involved with those films in a sort of a real way and a tangential way, like I wrote one as well, I think it's just something that I would only be interested in doing that if I felt like I had a great take on the material and the studio are with me doing my take. You know, if you're just being a director for hire on something, it's not. I can't get too emotionally invested in that.
The process of starting Ant-Man and then leaving Ant-Man, what was the best thing you learnt about yourself in that process?
You know, if you go with your gut and just, you know, that's always the thing that you've got to lead by those decisions, really. And the best thing that came out of it was that I got to kind of come back with an original screenplay and also bring all of the crew that I was going to do the other movie with onto this. And so even though that was something that like took at least a year to kind of get that going, but it was much more satisfying being able to do a movie that's my screenplay.
Given that both Baby Driver's proven to be quite successful, and also there's been a couple of other original movies out of Hollywood, Get Out, that's been really successful this year, do you sense an openness to more original scripts, more surprising scripts coming out of the studio system?
I don't know why they wouldn't be. I mean, I think the thing is, like, the studios know deep down that original movies are the future. But if you think about it, in 1977, Star Wars was an original screenplay. And in 1979, Alien was an original screenplay. And in 1984, Terminator was an original screenplay. So for the health of the industry and for the future of film history, studios should just start making more original movies as well. Like, it has to happen.
Edgar Wright.
Thank you. Cheers.
Lovely to talk to you.